Today on the warm-up, you were asked to identify the key features of the graph function. Does it open up or down? It definitely opens up. The vertex is this coordinate, so it should have been -1/2 and -20 1/4. This is a minimum because it's opening upwards. Should have used the x of the vertex to help you write the axis of symmetry equation, so it should have been x equals -1/2. Domain for quadratics, unless there is a restriction, is going to be from -infinity to +infinity, or x is all reals. Since this is a minimum, we need to find the lowest point, which anytime you are writing the range, I would look at the vertex because it will help you write it. The range goes from -20 1/4 all the way to +infinity because this is the lowest point and it's only going to continue to go up. So for in behavior, as my x is going to -infinity or to the left, my y is going to +infinity. And as my x goes to +infinity, my y goes to +infinity as well. The x-intercepts, or the zeros, are -5 and 0 and 4 and 0. Or I could have just written x equals -5 and x equals 4. You will dive more into these x-intercepts in today's lesson. I want to take it a step further on today's warm-up. For part 2, knowing what we have gone over for factoring and using the zero product property, I want you to work backwards and think about what would go in these blanks into factored form. In the first blank, using x equals -5, we should know that the sign should be the opposite in factored form, so we should have had it being +5. My second factor, since this one is x equals 4, in the blank, it should be -4. Now let's even take it further. Since we have it in factored form, let's go ahead and multiply those two polynomials by making an area model and simplifying to know what the quadratic would be in standard form. Should have x in 5 and x in -4. Multiplying x times x, you get x squared. Multiplying 5 times x, you get 5x. X times -4 is -4x, and -4 times 5 is -20. So let's go ahead and write it in standard form. My first coefficient is 1. I'm going to type that in there. My second coefficient comes from the like terms in the middle. We should have combined them. 5x minus 4x is +1x. And then our last term is just -20. So cleaning this up, our quadratic that is graphed to the right is x squared plus x minus 20 equals 0. Today's lesson is all about solving quadratics by graphing.
Okay, today we're going to learn how to solve quadratics using Desmos. So Desmos is a really nice tool. Just go to desmos.com. It'll send you to this page and then hit Start Graphing. All right, so once you're in here, we're just going to type in a quadratic equation. So hopefully you're fairly familiar with this by now. Just go ahead and type in y and then hit the equal sign on your keyboard. Then you want to go down here to where that keypad is, and you want to hit the x button, then go ahead and hit the a squared button to square it. Of course, that x squared value is going to immediately turn it into a quadratic for us. We're going to go ahead and also add 7x to this, and plus 12. And so what you will see is it automatically graphs the quadratic, and it makes it really quick and easy to find the solutions. You've probably learned in previous videos that the solutions to the quadratic are the x-intercepts. Okay, so these values right here, these x-intercepts, there's sometimes 2, there's sometimes 1, and sometimes there's none. In this case, there are 2. These values are also called the zeros of the quadratic, or solutions, or roots of the quadratic. And we can see here that they are -3, 0, and -4, 0. So there we go, we have the solutions. I do want to remind you that you can put into Desmos any equation in any form. So you could have also put this equation in factored form. which I know you've learned a little bit about. If you factor this trinomial, it would give you x plus 3 times x plus 4. And again, that's because the 3 plus the 4 adds to make 7, and the 3 times the 4 multiplies to make 12. So when I put this in, it changed the graph to blue, but if I go back to red, you can see the red and the blue equations and graphs are identical. When you hover over the x-intercepts here, again, it's the same ones, negative 3, 0, but this factored form makes a little bit more sense in terms of the zeros because you can take that negative 3 and plug it in for x here, and the negative 3 plus 3 is going to make 0. When you hover over the other one, it's negative 4. Again, that should make sense because when you input negative 4 in for x, it's going to make this whole quantity becomes 0 and the function becomes 0. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to find solutions in Desmos. When you're done with a graph, you can just exit out. Let's just try another one here. We'll do, let's do something with a coefficient of something other than 1. So we'll do 2x squared. Notice this time I did not write y equals. That part isn't necessary. And then I'm going to do plus 9x minus 18. Okay, so on this one, you can see we have a graph. It's hard to see the bottom of the graph, which is okay. You can always either scroll down or you can go to your zoom out button and you can go like this. Luckily for us, we're here today to find solutions, and we do see solutions. This is where the graph crosses the x-axis. And so if you click on this, you can see that one solution is 1.5, and the other solution is negative 6. Okay, so again, finding the solutions is really easy with quadratics because if you hover over the x-intercept, Desmos will tell you what that solution is. So now it's your chance to go into the practice and try a few of these on your own.